Imagine for a moment that your life was not a series of random events but a carefully designed experience. One where every joy, every struggle, and every relationship was chosen with a greater purpose. This is not a new idea. Across cultures and throughout history, philosophers, spiritual traditions, and even modern scientists have pointed to the possibility that consciousness exists before birth and that each of us enters this world with an intention. But is there any truth to it? Or is it merely an old myth repackaged for the modern age? The answer, as we will explore, is both philosophical and scientific, and its implications are profound. Consider déjà vu, that eerie sensation of having lived a moment before. Some explain it as a neurological glitch, but research in cognitive psychology suggests that it may be linked to the way our brain processes memory and familiarity. Now take that idea a step further. Could this be a fragment of something deeper, a trace of memory from before birth? In studies on past life regression, thousands of individuals under deep hypnosis recall vivid details of a time before they were born, describing choices they made, lessons they hoped to learn, and even the selection of their parents. Dr. Michael Newton, a hypnotherapist who spent decades researching what he called life between lives, documented thousands of such cases, with strikingly similar narratives across individuals who had never met. They spoke of a space of planning, where they reviewed past experiences and set intentions for their next journey into the physical world. If these accounts were simply fabrications of the subconscious mind, why do they align so well across cultures, languages, and belief systems? The study of near-death experiences, NDEs, adds another layer of evidence. Dr. Bruce Grayson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, has spent years documenting the experiences of those who have been clinically dead for short periods and then revived. Many describe a sense of leaving their bodies, entering a realm of overwhelming peace, and encountering beings who help them review their lives not as a judgment, but as a reflection on what they had set out to do. Some report seeing choices they made before birth, understanding in an instant why certain hardships were necessary for their growth. These experiences challenge the notion that consciousness is merely a byproduct of brain activity. If the mind is purely physical, why do so many people report coherent, transformative experiences while their brains are clinically inactive? Even in mainstream science, the concept of consciousness as something beyond the body is gaining traction. Neuroscientist Dr. Christoph Koch, a leading researcher on consciousness, has explored the idea that awareness may not be confined to the brain, but rather be a fundamental aspect of the universe itself. This aligns with ancient philosophical perspectives. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, suggested that human perception is merely a shadow of a greater reality. Hindu philosophy describes Atman, the eternal self which transcends birth and death. The Hermetic tradition speaks of a realm where cause and effect are determined before they manifest in the physical world. While these ideas were once considered purely spiritual, modern physics is beginning to echo them. The theory of quantum entanglement demonstrates that particles separated by vast distances can instantaneously affect each other, suggesting that information, perhaps even consciousness itself, operates in ways we do not yet fully understand. But what does this mean for you here and now? If it is true that your soul or consciousness existed before birth and that you entered this life with a purpose, then the events of your life, both good and bad, may hold deeper meaning than you have ever considered. The struggles you have faced may not be accidents but carefully chosen experiences meant to teach resilience, patience, or compassion. The people who have entered your life may not be coincidences but part of a larger design, playing roles that help you grow. This perspective does not erase pain or hardship, but it transforms how we respond to them. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" one might ask, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of seeing obstacles as punishments, we begin to see them as opportunities. This is not just an abstract idea. It has practical implications for how we live. The work of Dr. Carol Dweck on mindset psychology has shown that the way we perceive challenges shapes our ability to overcome them. Those who see life as a fixed path often struggle when confronted with hardship, while those who believe in growth and learning find ways to adapt and thrive. If we apply this to the idea of pre-birth planning, it means that by shifting our mindset, by recognizing that we may have chosen even our hardest moments for a reason, we empower ourselves to move through life with greater purpose and resilience. And what about the future? If you are over 65, you may wonder, what does this mean for the years ahead? Perhaps it means embracing each day as an opportunity to live with intention, to reconnect with passions that have been forgotten, to mend relationships that still hold meaning, or to find peace with the past. If consciousness continues beyond this life, then every experience, every act of kindness, every lesson learned contributes to something greater than this single lifetime. It suggests that the best way to prepare for what comes next is not through fear, but through awareness, through living fully and meaningfully in the present. If this resonates with you, consider this an invitation. Pay attention to those moments of deep intuition, the ones where life feels like it is speaking directly to you. Reflect on the major events of your past and ask yourself, what might I have been trying to learn? If you find yourself feeling stuck, shift the question from, why is this happening? To, what can I do with this? And most importantly, live each day with the understanding that you are part of something much greater than you may have realized. Whether or not you remember it, your journey did not begin at birth, and it will not end here. The real question is, what will you do with the time you have now? There is a profound mystery hidden in the relationships that shape our lives. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection, as if you had known them forever? Or perhaps you've encountered a person who challenged you so deeply that they seem to be placed in your path for a reason. These experiences are not random. They are the echoes of something much older, something that existed before you were born. Across history and across cultures, there has been a belief that the people we meet and the relationships we form are part of a greater design, chosen before we enter this world. Modern research in psychology and consciousness studies is beginning to suggest that there may be more to this than mere philosophy. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, spent decades studying thousands of cases of young children who reported memories of past lives. In many cases, these children not only recalled specific details of previous existences, but also recognized people they claimed to have known before. Some even spoke of agreements made before birth, suggesting a kind of continuity in relationships that extends beyond a single lifetime. If we consider these accounts alongside research in transpersonal psychology, which explores the idea of consciousness existing beyond the individual mind, a compelling picture begins to emerge. Could it be that our most significant relationships are not coincidences but chosen experiences, carefully selected to help us grow in ways we cannot yet fully understand? Even within neuroscience, there is evidence that our brains may be wired for deeper connections that transcend the physical. Studies on mirror neurons, for example, show that human beings are deeply interconnected on a neurological level. When we see another person experiencing joy or suffering, our own brain responds as if we are living that experience ourselves. This is why empathy feels so immediate, why love and loss shape us so profoundly. But what if this capacity for connection is not just a biological function but a reflection of something greater? If consciousness exists beyond the body, as some quantum physicists like Dr. Stuart Hameroff and Sir Roger Penrose have theorized, then it is possible that our relationships, too, exist in a realm beyond the physical, forming a web of meaning that extends before birth and beyond death. This brings us to an idea that has been present in the world's great spiritual traditions for centuries: soul contracts. The concept is simple yet profound. Before entering this life, our souls choose certain relationships, certain key figures who will help shape our journey. Some of these are loving and supportive, providing comfort and guidance when we need it most. Others challenge us, forcing us to grow in ways we might resist but ultimately need. Think of the mentor who inspired you, the friend who stood by your side, the difficult relationship that taught you resilience or forgiveness. What if these were not random encounters but agreements made long before you took your first breath? This idea is not just found in spiritual traditions but also reflected in modern psychology. Dr. Carl Jung, one of the most influential figures in the study of the unconscious mind, spoke of synchronicity, the meaningful coincidences that shape our lives. He believed that certain relationships and events are not merely chance but part of a deeper narrative, revealing hidden connections that guide us toward personal and collective transformation. In practical terms, this means that the people who enter your life, whether they bring joy or hardship, may be there for a reason. If we adopt this perspective, We shift from seeing life as a series of random occurrences to recognizing it as a carefully woven tapestry of growth and experience. But why, one might ask, would anyone choose difficulty or pain? If soul contracts are real, why would we agree to relationships that cause heartbreak, betrayal, or loss? The answer lies in the nature of growth itself. Think about the moments in your life that shaped you the most. Were they times of ease and comfort, or were they moments when you were forced to dig deep, to find strength you didn't know you had? Research in resilience psychology shows that the greatest personal transformations often come from adversity. Studies by Dr. Richard Tedeschi and Dr. Lawrence Calhoun on post-traumatic growth demonstrate that individuals who undergo profound hardship often emerge with greater wisdom, compassion, and purpose. If we extend this understanding to the realm of soul contracts, it suggests that we do not merely endure challenges. We may, at some level, choose them for the lessons they bring. This perspective does not diminish the reality of suffering but offers a different way of engaging with it. Instead of seeing difficult relationships as burdens or mistakes, we might ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of harboring resentment, we might consider, how has this person helped me grow? It is not always easy, but shifting our mindset in this way has profound effects on our well-being. Dr. Robert Emmons, a psychologist who has extensively studied gratitude, has found that individuals who reframe their hardships as opportunities for growth experience higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional resilience. What does this mean for you? It means that every relationship, every encounter, carries meaning. It means that the estranged sibling, the lifelong friend, the partner who tested your limits, were all part of a journey that you, at some level, chose. If this is true, then the way forward is not to dwell in regret or bitterness, but to engage fully with the present, to ask what you can learn from those who cross your path. It means forgiving not for their sake but for your own, for the freedom that comes with understanding. If you take one idea from this, let it be this: your life is not an accident, and neither are the people in it. The connections you have made and the lessons you have learned are part of a larger story, one that stretches beyond the boundaries of this single lifetime. The question is, how will you choose to live it? If you have unfinished relationships, what steps can you take to bring closure or healing? If you have learned profound lessons from someone, how can you express gratitude for what they have given you? And if you are facing a difficult relationship now, what would change if you saw it as an opportunity for growth rather than a burden to bear? Your journey is still unfolding, and the choices you make now shape not only your future, but the legacy you leave behind. Whether you believe in soul contracts or simply see life as a series of meaningful connections, one thing is certain. The way you engage with your relationships, past and present, determines the richness of your experience. If you are still here, there is still time. Time to heal, time to forgive, time to embrace the relationships that uplift you and release those that no longer serve you. The story of your life is yours to write, and every person who has entered it has played a role in making you who you are. The question is, what will you do with that understanding now? There is an invisible force that shapes our experience of life, a veil so subtle, yet so profound that we rarely question it. This is the veil of forgetting, the reason we do not remember where we came from, the plans we made before birth, or the deeper purpose of our existence. Imagine waking up one day with no recollection of your past, no memory of your identity or the choices that led you here. How different would your decisions be if you had a full understanding of why you were here? This is the paradox of life itself. We enter this world with a plan, yet we forget it almost immediately. But why? And more importantly, how do we begin to remember? Neuroscientists have long been fascinated by the nature of memory and consciousness. Research on infant cognition has shown that babies, even before they develop language, exhibit signs of awareness that suggest they understand more than we assume. Dr. Alison Gopnik, a developmental psychologist at the University of California, Berkeley, has explored how infants process the world in a way that is vastly different from adults, more open, more connected, and perhaps more in tune with something beyond our conventional understanding. Could it be that, as we grow, we are not learning so much as we are forgetting? The idea that we lose access to deeper knowledge as we develop into adulthood is not new. Plato, in his theory of anamnesis, suggested that all learning is actually remembering, that the soul already possesses knowledge but must rediscover it through experience. Modern cognitive science supports this idea in unexpected ways. Studies on neuroplasticity show that while we are capable of forming new neural pathways throughout life, much of our early programming, our sense of self, our beliefs about reality becomes deeply ingrained, making it difficult to see beyond the conditioning of our upbringing and society. This is why the veil of forgetting is so powerful. It is not just about memory, it is about perception. We are not merely forgetting facts, we are forgetting who we truly are. But there are cracks in the veil, moments when something deeper surfaces. Have you ever had an intuition so strong that it defied logic? Have you ever met someone and instantly felt as if you had known them forever? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt an overwhelming sense of familiarity, even though you had never experienced it before? These moments, often dismissed as coincidences, may be glimpses of something more. Research on near-death experiences provides some of the most compelling evidence for this. Dr. Pim van Lommel, a cardiologist who studied hundreds of patients who had been clinically dead and then revived, found that many reported a profound sense of clarity, as if they had suddenly remembered something long forgotten. They described a feeling of complete understanding, as if their entire life had been part of a much greater design. Some even reported seeing a life review, where they not only recalled events from their past but also understood them from multiple perspectives, feeling the emotions of those they had impacted, both positively and negatively. These accounts suggest that memory, in its deepest sense, is not lost but temporarily inaccessible. If this is true, then the question is not whether we can remember but how. The key to piercing the veil lies in how we engage with life itself. If the forgetting was necessary to make our experiences feel real, then the process of remembering must be an active choice. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in each moment. Dr. Richard Davidson, a neuroscientist at the University of Wisconsin, has studied the effects of meditation on the brain and found that long-term practitioners exhibit increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area associated with self-awareness and higher reasoning. More remarkably, he found that meditation strengthens the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, the part of the brain that processes emotions and fear. This suggests that the more we cultivate awareness, the more we diminish the automatic responses that keep us trapped in the illusions of everyday life. In simpler terms, the more present we are, the more we remember. This is why practices like meditation, reflection, and even journaling can be so transformative. They create space for deeper truths to emerge, for insights that lie just beyond our normal awareness to surface. But remembering is not just about meditation or intellectual understanding. It is about action. The way we engage with our relationships, the way we handle adversity, the way we respond to the unexpected all determine whether we live in forgetfulness or in awareness. If we start to see life as something we designed rather than something that happens to us, we begin to take responsibility in a new way. We stop seeing ourselves as victims of fate and start recognizing that every experience, every challenge, every joy is part of a path we ourselves have shaped. This shift in perspective is not just theoretical. Research in positive psychology has shown that individuals who adopt a sense of purpose and personal agency experience greater well-being and resilience. Dr. Martin Seligman, one of the pioneers of positive psychology, has found that people who view their lives as meaningful report higher levels of happiness, better physical health, and even increased longevity. If seeing life as purposeful can have such tangible effects on our mental and physical health, imagine what it means on a larger scale. So where does this leave us? If we are to remember, if we are to lift the veil, it must begin with how we see our own stories. Look at your life. What patterns have emerged? What struggles have repeated themselves? What relationships have taught you the most? These are not random occurrences. They are clues. They are the breadcrumbs leading back to something deeper, something you already know but have simply forgotten. The way forward is not to seek external validation, but to cultivate awareness in your own experience. Pay attention to what resonates deeply within you. When something feels significant, trust that feeling. When a memory surfaces that seems out of place, explore it. When a relationship challenges you in unexpected ways, ask what it is teaching you. The more you engage with life in this way, the more the veil begins to lift. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. What is one experience in your life that has shaped you profoundly? What did it teach you? How might your perspective shift if you viewed it not as something that happened to you, but as something you, at some level, chose? And if that is true, what choices will you make now? If the veil exists to help us fully experience life, then remembering is not about escaping it, but about embracing it fully. The greatest act of awakening is not retreating from the world but engaging with it more deeply, with the understanding that every moment is an opportunity to see beyond the illusion and into the truth of who you really are. The veil is not meant to be a prison. It is meant to be a challenge, one that, once recognized, allows us to reclaim the wisdom we have carried with us all along. The question is, are you ready to remember? If everything you have heard so far is true, then life is not simply a collection of unrelated events, nor is it a chaotic series of accidents. Instead, it is a masterpiece in progress, one where every moment, every relationship, and every challenge holds meaning. The idea that our lives were planned before birth is not about fate in the way we often think of it, nor is it about being trapped by destiny. It is about understanding that we are not just passive observers in this world. We are active participants in a process far greater than we can perceive. If this is true, then the way we choose to live our remaining years becomes even more important, not because we are running out of time, but because we finally understand the depth of what time truly means. Every day is another brushstroke on the canvas of our existence, another note in the symphony we are composing with our choices, our actions, and our understanding. Science and philosophy together point us toward this realization. Neuroscience has revealed that the brain is not static but capable of change and adaptation throughout life. Dr. Michael Merzenich, one of the pioneers of neuroplasticity, has shown that even in later years, the brain continues to rewire itself based on experiences and thoughts. This means that the way we interpret our past, the way we frame our struggles, and the way we choose to engage with the present actively shape our future not just psychologically but physically within the very structure of our minds. If you have spent years believing that life has happened to you, what would change if you now saw it as something you designed, something you can still influence with awareness and intention? Imagine what becomes possible when we take responsibility not just for what has already occurred but for what comes next. Across the great philosophical traditions, from Stoicism to Eastern spirituality, one truth emerges time and again. The quality of life is not determined by external events but by how we engage with them. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic thinkers, wrote that the impediment to action advances action, meaning that obstacles are not roadblocks but pathways to deeper understanding. In psychological terms, Dr. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, echoed this sentiment when he observed that even in the most dire circumstances, humans retain the ability to find meaning. He found that those who survived immense suffering were not necessarily the strongest physically, but those who could mentally and spiritually assign purpose to their experiences. If this is true, then the final years of life are not about retreating or resigning oneself to the past, but about fully stepping into the understanding that every moment is an opportunity to live with intention, to seek connection, to embrace wisdom, and to create meaning. This is where science and spirituality converge most powerfully. Studies on gratitude, such as those conducted by Dr. Robert Emmons at the University of California, have shown that people who actively practice gratitude experience lower stress, improved health, and even increased longevity. Similarly, research on purpose and well-being by Dr. Patrick Hill at Washington University found that individuals who have a sense of purpose live longer, even when controlling for other health factors. These findings reinforce what philosophy has long suggested. The way we direct our minds shapes not just our happiness but our very existence. If the nature of reality is indeed connected to our consciousness, as suggested by the cutting-edge theories of quantum physics, then it is possible that the energy we bring to our lives, the emotions we cultivate, and the awareness we develop all contribute to the larger tapestry of our journey. So what does this mean for you here and now? It means that the way you choose to engage with this knowledge matters. If you have spent years carrying burdens of regret or resentment, now is the time to release them. Not because the past didn't happen, but because its true purpose was never to weigh you down. It was always meant to help you rise. If you have relationships that remain unresolved, now is the time to bring closure, not for the sake of others, but for the peace that comes with understanding. If there are dreams or passions you have left behind, Now is the time to revisit them, not because time is running out, but because time, as we experience it, is the very thing that allows us to rediscover ourselves. There is a common saying that we do not regret the things we did, but rather the things we left undone. If that is true, then let your next chapter be one of bold action, of living with the full awareness that your life is a story still being written. Reflect on your experiences not with sorrow but with gratitude for the wisdom they have given you. Approach the future not with fear but with the understanding that the best way to honor the life you have lived is to continue living it fully. Whether or not you remember the choices your soul made before birth, what matters now is the choices you make from this moment forward. If you are still here, it is because your journey is not yet complete. The only question left is, how will you choose to live the rest of it?